We are currently being maliciously targeted, sued, and silenced for exposing the biggest corruption that Iowa has ever seen. Now I'm asking for all of your help in sharing this and contacting people in power so they can investigate these criminals in Marion and Linn County, Iowa. And I'll have all of that contact information in the description and the comment section. Now, I've already made a video that showcases the framework of insane corruption and rights violations, and I'll have that pinned as well. If you have not seen it yet, make sure to check that out. Now, it's time that I take you all on a deep dive into this investigation, and I'm gonna show you what's going on, and you'll understand why these rats are maliciously targeting us, attacking us, and silencing us. They just don't want us to expose their crimes. Now, currently, I'm the only one that has yet to be silenced by Chad Pelly and his attorneys. We all know the judicial system is very corrupt, and it favors people in power and people that have money. And if you do not hear any more updates about Chad Pelly or this investigation, you'll know that the court has placed an injunction on me as well to silence me. Now, I'm gonna walk you all along this story and summarize it so we all can get a good picture of what actually is going on and how these key figures in Marion and Linn County, Iowa have been working to silence us and discredit us. And make sure you stay tuned because there's a lot of these rats in government that we got to resign. They are absolutely afraid of our investigation into their corruption and crimes. A couple of years back in Marion, Iowa, the police department, led by the most corrupt and sadistic police chief in all of Iowa, Michael Kitzmiller, led his officers to illegally break into a kid named Casey Van Neville's house, and they arrested him for reporting uninhabitable living conditions of his rundown apartment complex. Without a warrant, Marion PD entered Casey's apartment, threw him down, and took him to jail. Now, Casey was targeted many more times and unlawfully arrested, and I was contacted by Casey where I attended meetings with the police chief, Mike Kitzmiller, and I spoke out at city council meetings. Everything went in one ear and out the other, as they all had each other's back, and they didn't care to fix the injustices. Now, Casey was later tried and found guilty by a corrupt judge and was sentenced to jail. D, who operates the Butt Crack News Network channel, helped Casey out during these times and went to request body cams to prove Casey's innocence. Well, Marion PD colluded and upcharged D from $200 to $800 for these very body cams. And after D made it clear that they just can't do that, well, these rats stole his money and they wouldn't give the evidence nor his money back. So D started to attend many public meetings where he would tell the city council, the mayor, and many others about what had happened. And all of his efforts were ignored. However, this is where we began our investigation in which we stumbled upon the biggest corruption in government that Iowa has ever seen. Now here we meet the man that's at the heart of this investigation and that is currently suing BCNN, Chad Pelly.
So that guy in the white shirt with the blue jeans on always acts really, really sketchy every time I see him. It's like he starts to flip out because there's somebody with the camera. Yep, so he's going to take his phone out and film me back.
I don't appreciate the video, all right? Be respectful.
Be respectful.
I am. I'm asking you to please stop putting your camera in my face, okay? What's your name? What's your name, troll? Listen, I'm not one of the city officials. I don't appreciate that camera in my face and you're mocking me and doing things like that, all right? I'm asking you to stop, okay? Be a better person.
I'll be watching you real close. I know you're guilty.
Why did he act so unhinged and triggered at D for filming outside of a public meeting? D noticed this guy was always side by side with the mayor, city council, and the police. Why did he not want D to film around him? And who even was this guy? Just his irrational behavior alone, you could tell he had something to hide. So it was time to do some digging. Turns out this nerd is named Chad Pelly, and he was on a lot of public boards, and he's a big-time developer around Iowa. So to simplify things, we the people pay taxes. The mayor and city council decide how much money goes to departments, projects, and public boards. Then these public boards, which Chad Pelly is on, have authority to spend our money. And it just so happens that Chad Pelly has received over $100 million of our taxpayer funds. And don't worry, I'll get into more of this in a bit. But first, I'll explain who this guy is and what evil crimes he has committed. Be prepared. So Iowa Courts Online shows an insanely large rap sheet highlighting Chad's charges and crimes. From a ton of driving charges, to OWI, to leaving the scene of an accident, to criminal mischief, to financial liability, and even kicking and punching women in the face. And this sick criminal was even charged with sexually abusing in a gang rape of a 15-year-old child, which he was guilty of assault with intent to commit sexual abuse against a 15-year-old child. So this guy is not just any regular old criminal. He is a convicted woman-beating pedophile. You heard that right, folks. Chad Pelly brutally beats women, and he sexually targets young children of 15 years of age, all the while being a grown man. So how the hell is somebody that has been convicted of some of the worst crimes one could ever commit even be on any public board? Taxpayers are funding a woman-beating PDF file without even knowing. And to add fuel to the fire, this sick criminal's crimes against that 15-year-old child aren't even publicly accessible unless you go and request records and wait days on end to see these records in person. But we here at BCNN are the best in business for a reason. We found one of his dark evil secrets. Was this the only crime that was hidden from the public? Or was there more? Well, I'll get back to that question in a bit. I wonder why and how this criminal is always hanging around the mayor and city council members. I mean, what could a woman-beating PDF file who receives $100 million of taxpayer money even offer up to them to be so close? I wonder why the Marion PD is best friends with such a disgraceful predator. The PD even wrote an article affirming their close friendship. And when you start looking into these questions, the rabbit hole only goes deeper and deeper. But don't worry, I will guide you all through this. So, where did Chad learn his heinous criminal and PDF file ways? Could it have been from his very own uncle, Arlo Pelly? That's right. It seems Chad's not the only pedophile in his family tree. Uncle Arlo Pelly was charged with assault with intent to commit sexual abuse, which just so happens to be the exact same crime that Chad Pelly was charged with, and indecent contact with a child, which Arlo has Chad barely beat, because Uncle Arlo did this to an 11-year-old. And we aren't done there yet. Just a little over a year ago, Uncle Arlo Pelly was arrested on an out-of-state warrant in 2023. Arlo has multiple charges for the 2010 and the 2023 arrests. And if you're wondering, Chad Pelly even lived in the house that Uncle Arlo owned. So while Arlo was on the run from that out-of-state warrant, Chad Pelly was staying at Uncle Arlo's own house. Oh, but the rabbit hole only gets deeper. The local news at the Gazette made an article about good old Arlo Pelly, which Arlo talks about how files can change. So to raise eyebrows even further, the author even writes in the bottom that the views and opinions are shared from the author/Gazette. But just wait, this is far from the only time that the local news will agree and promote the Pellies. It has been done many times, even around a couple of weeks ago. So I wonder, why even the local news is ignoring these heinous crimes and painting the Pellies out to be upstanding people and giving them a platform? Is there a reason why they are doing this? Because when we went to the local news to expose what was going on, we were ignored and we were told to leave. Why are they doing this? Just think about that for a minute. And just recently, the local news had on the Marion police in an obvious and poor attempt to promote propaganda and to discredit our investigation into them. Now check this out.
Reach out to your trusted local news source. Look to see, is there just one person that's posting this? Well, that's odd. If this was true, there'd be all kinds of revenues or avenues, media outlets that are posting this. So just be mindful. Something you see on social media might not always be accurate.
Yeah, you mentioned fact checking. What are some things people can do to see who's posting it? That's one.
Yeah, if it's somebody you follow or whatever the case might be, what's the source? Is it something you recognize? Is it something you trust? Is it something you're familiar of? Or again, is that one-off entity that you've never heard of before and nobody else is saying a word? And again, being a public information officer for the police department, I have a really good relationship with our local media outlets. And if none of them are posting, I know there's a lot of due diligence on their part before they post something or before they report on a news story. They want to make sure it's credible, accurate, and things of that regard. So if you see somebody x_123@gmail, whatever it's posting, it's like, huh. And again, some of these posts that you were mentioning, it just on face value, that there would have been a news story somewhere. So just be mindful. It might not always be 100% accurate.
But things only get darker. So Chad Pelly is still involved with children. This PDF file is on the board of Streamline Kids, and this should scare every single parent. Chad Pelly was seen leading a big group of young children from the Boys and Girls Club of Cedar Rapids. And not only that, he was involved with Linn and Prairie High School students. Do you think these parents would be okay with having their children around this dangerous criminal? Absolutely disgusting that this was allowed and facilitated. So let's recap that madness. The Marion Police Department, led by rights violator and corrupt cuck Michael Kitzmiller, are best friends with Chad Pelly. Chad Pelly is friends and always side by side with the mayor and the city council members. The local news around Linn County, Iowa, they always promote Chad Pelly, and Chad Pelly is on boards, and he's involved with children, even though of his dark crimes. And if you think all of this sickness ends here, it doesn't. There's plenty of information that I have that shows connections between Chad Pelly and a ton of people in power. I have plenty of dirt on the very law firm that is representing Chad Pelly in this frivolous and malicious lawsuit in order to silence us, which has caused heavy mental burden and financial strains. Just know that we have the weapons of mass destruction to drop when it's time to own these cucks in court. And not all stories have a happy ending. And what evil does in the dark will eventually be brought to the light. These criminals in Marion and Linn County government have been dropping like flies due to our investigation because they understand that we know too much about all of this. And recently, the most corrupt police chief in all of Iowa announced his retirement from the Marion PD, Mike Kitzmiller. He knows he shouldn't have fucked around with Buttcrack News Network because now he's finding out why that was a massive mistake. Chad Pelly has also resigned as president of 2040, and he's going on the run to Montana now. So many more have resigned from positions of power in Marion and Linn County who were involved with these nerds. I have a video at the ready to drop if I am threatened, and I will expose everything. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is your turn to change history. Please share this video with as many people, news outlets, and people in power to investigate these sick people. We need all of your help before it's too late. I have all of the contact info and links in the description and the comment section. Make your voices heard. Until next time, folks, Billy B, BCNN.